Hello, hello, everybody. Sorry for the delay on posting. I know I said I would. Here I am. Well, there's been a few things that came up. Um, a lot actually. I got hit in the head pretty hard on my birthday. I was helping my dad out trim a tree, so I was kind of out of commission for a week. And when I recorded the 2024 outline, I was still a little delirious from the hit. So yeah, there was that. In 2023, I broke up with my ex. That was one hell of a roller coaster, and I'll get into that a little bit on this. It's um, it's one of those I think talking about it will help maybe someone in the future listening. If not, whatever. And then a couple of like tidbits, I guess. So the first one is obviously the breakup with my ex. Actually, I attempted to break up with her 3 times. That should have been my warning. The first and the second time, it's like, okay, you want to leave this woman for some reason. Um, but very, very lost over. In the beginning, it was love. You could call it love bombing. She was texting me. I was texting her all the time. It was like two twin flames finding each other and just like, oh my God, friends, finally. Um, but as time progressed, she slowly started showing who she was. Well, I slowly started seeing who she was. I could see who she was, and it wasn't like a mystery. So that part, I just was deep in the puppy love stage. Puppy love. Um, yeah. So, but then there was the clear day that kind of was like the pivot point was in December 14th to be exact. I was going to Disneyland with her. Her mom's friend got a works at Disneyland and got us some free tickets, so I didn't have to pay. And I was getting whispers of I was going to get hired for the railroad. That's where I took my long break in 2023. Um, and yeah, so I we went to Disneyland, and I was working night shift at that time, so I still had my body trained to go to sleep by 1 p.m. no matter what, even if I was off. Just 1 p.m. you're asleep. So I'm fighting going to sleep. We don't start heading home till like 5 or 6 p.m. So that'd be like me doing an all nighter for a normal person. Like your bedtime's like 10. Well, for night shift, like every hour you miss, add 30 minutes kind of thing. So it was like 6, 7 a.m. equivalents for someone else. Um, and near the end of being at Disneyland, she started having like just jealous fits. Oh, you're looking at so and so. You wanting her more than me? And I was like, no. I was trying to figure out why she's wearing hot pink with neon green. It doesn't quite match, but I mean, I guess it worked because I'm looking at her kind of thing. And then she essentially started having an existential crisis in the parking lot at Disneyland. So we're sitting there for an hour trying to figure that out. But I'm pretty much drunk from not sleeping. He can't drive because she's crying. So I said, you know what? I literally just took my hand, slapped the shit out of my face as hard as I could in front of her, and said, okay, adrenaline. That should wake me up for about the next 10, 20 minutes. Then I looked at her, I'm like, then we're going to have to go get some Tabasco from a 7-Eleven. And she looked at me, she's like, hot sauce? Why would you need that? Because I looked at her, I'm going to pour that straight in my eyes. That's a lot of pain, a lot more adrenaline. I'll wake up. So instead of the pain treatment I gave myself, um, she mildly pulled herself together and was more giving me nudges in the arm, saying, "Hey, you're drifting. Wake up." In that instance, well, it was more preserving her life. She was really nice. But when we got back, this is back when I was still doing edibles and weed and smoking a lot. Um, there's a whole thing with me having paranoia and panic attacks when I wasn't smoking. Um, But essentially, I took a 2 milligram dose of THC edible, and then I was really screwed up, so I was taking 20 milligrams of melatonin. So I told her, "Hey, we're here. I'm gonna go in and take my meds. I'll say goodbye to you because it's like to say goodbye to her was like a 40-minute to an hour episode, even before this. But I at first thought it was cute, then it got annoying really quick. Um, but I told her, I said, "Hey, I'm gonna take this. I need you to respect the fact that I took this, and I need to go to sleep." And she's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, okay, okay." And I come back, and she's sitting there like a little princess, and it was all cute, and the big bushy eyes. I said, "All right, princess, gotta go." Give her a kiss on the forehead, and she grabs my arm, and suddenly she is just bawling, crying, and I sat there, and literally a voice in my head said, "Just go, just leave, damn it, just go." I didn't listen to it, but it saved myself a lot of headaches. Um, so I stayed, and if anyone knows what it's like to take melatonin and then resist it and stay awake, you guys see some shit. And then I took a small dose of edible, so I'm really seeing and feeling shit. And I had to pull myself together. And she was known for doing a loop. So she'd say one thing, I'd comment, ask a question. She'd say another thing, I'd comment, ask a question. Say a third thing, same thing. By the fourth, I'd say the comment question, but then somehow reset back to one. It was really weird. I'm sure I know what the technical psychology behind that is, but can't recall it offhand. Did that for 3 hours. It was like 45 minutes a cycle. So finally, I just told her, I'm like, hey, I just have to go. The like saving grace was her mom called and said, hey, I see you're at Josh's house still. What are you doing, baby girl? Do you need me to come over and pick you up? Are you too tired? Kind of thing. That was my saving grace. So I got out. She called her mom. She drove home, kind of thing. Many, many, many months later, the mom actually told me, she's like, yeah, I didn't realize how out of sorts my little girl was, uh, until she came home and was crying and pretty much was saying, I messed up, I messed up, my Josh is gonna leave me, blah blah blah. And I was looking at the mom because me and the mom had a really good relationship, a nice, healthy one. Like the one of the few healthy relationships I've had. Um, but I told her, I'm like, dude, I was really thinking of just like, man, I hate to tell her at her lowest point, but like, this is fucking disrespectful. Like, I want to go to sleep. You know, I need to sleep. Don't get best sleep being a night shift person. And it was just super disrespectful. Then there was me going to the railroad. So I did get the job, and, well, a little side story on my birthday weekend for 2023. 2022 into 2023, uh, we essentially rented out Airbnb. We found this cute little Asian couple's $1 million condo, and they were renting a room out for like $50 a night per. And it was just a bed. Like if you could fit three in there, go for it. $50 kind of thing. So yeah, the whole plan was just like her thing was like, hey, I am your gift to like I am your gift to you. Yeah, grammar sucks right now. But so it was like use me as however you want for the weekend. I did ring that bell a lot. We pretty much just had sex, sleep, eat, snuggle and play some board games, rinse and repeat. Was one hell of a fun weekend. Oh my gosh. Um, so then in February, when it was confirmed I was heading out to Texas for the railroad, we did the same thing. Like we rented out a Best Western nearby. She didn't want to do the Airbnb because that was ghetto. She was claiming. Oh, by the way, ever since the December 14th, she became more and more sassy, but also kind of like rude, and a rude I've never seen before from her. So she said the Airbnb is just too tacky, too cheap. I'm better than this. It was just, it smelled funny, and I was like, yeah, yeah, it's someone else's house. It's like, yeah, someone else's house. Of course, it's gonna smell different, kind of thing. So we rented out a Best Western. I was getting railroad money, so it was like $1,000 a week. I knew it was coming, so we went halfway. I had whatever left over from my previous check from working as a janitor night shift, and it was supposed to be a repeat of birthday weekend. Not even close. It was just her complaining and complaining and complaining. That was another red flag. Didn't catch that one. So then I take off to drive off to Texas. Obviously, my mom was all choked up. My girl at the time, the ex, was all choked up. My dad, he pretty much just couldn't see me leave. He it was too hard for him. Um, so I take off and go driving, and where I was driving, there was a lot of dead zones, so I couldn't take calls. But eventually, I got a nice long stretch patch, long area with signal, and called my ex. And again, the complaining and the complaining and the complaining. I didn't catch it. I was like, yeah, I get it. Nerves kind of thing. I'm suddenly moving. I'm leaving. She's not good with change, kind of thing. Kept telling myself that. So in Texas, when I got there, she kept asking about what times do I have off, what weekends, this and that, blah blah blah. And I told her, I said, hey, well, pretty much any Saturday or Sunday unless something comes up, kind of thing. So she actually bought a ticket and flew out. That was really cool of her. Like that, I didn't expect it until she announced it. And they brought me my favorite food from California. Made me their Christmas crack in February. Um, oh my gosh, it was the greatest. Again, at this point now, she's really addicted to TikTok. Like she's watching TikTok obnoxiously, and it's actually was like kind of, I was kind of getting insulted because we were trying to show different things, and she just watched TikTok, and I was like, okay, kind of didn't dismiss that. I'm like, that's weird. So her claim on her videos on her TikTok is that she flew out and I was really rough and rude with her, didn't give her the praise and blah blah blah. To be honest, uh, she wanted to do it, I guess, one day. So I said, okay, on lunch I come home, I gotta do it, but I only have 30 minutes. If I'm late, I could get in a lot of trouble and get fired before this game even gets started, kind of thing. Okay, babe, totally understand. Come home, we try to do the deed. Um, I know it was quite rude not cuddling afterwards, but I'm like, hey, I have to go. Like, I have 5 minutes and it's a 5 minute drive. I'm barely gonna make it. And I realized, yes, that was very rude. No cuddling afterwards. But I needed to get to work. Kind of thing. So then I tried to make it up to her afterwards. Since she just watched TikTok the whole weekend, and I actually asked her in person, I'm like, why the hell did you fly yourself out here only to watch TikTok? You just literally paid $340 to watch TikTok in a bed in Texas. Go see your aunt, go see your cousins, kind of thing. I'm like, don't be in here watching TikTok. Go, you have family out here. Go see them. She's like, oh, I'm here for you. I'm like, I'm busy, kind of thing. Um, yeah. I met her aunt, really nice lady. Is like the mom, really cool. Um, essentially, me and the aunt got talking about different things, and essentially, she told me she was the first. I think that was the first domino to actually register that the set is falling. She said, "How are you and Sabri doing?" My ex is Sabrina, by the way, so they would call her Sabrina. And I said, "Oh yeah, me and Sabrina are doing, we're doing okay. and I just finished an argument with her, and no one won, by the way. Um, and she's like, "You look tired and worn out," kind of thing. And she gave me a big hug and like, we just met, kind of thing. And she's saying this to me, and that's when I registered. I'm like, oh, something's wrong. Something's really wrong, kind of thing. So as some time passes, and I'm back in California trying to do my job, and essentially the same thing. She's constantly calling me, complaining about her day. Oh, and after December 14th, another thing she started doing on top of watching more TikTok was um emphasizing that men are stupid, men are Neanderthals, men are disgusting and dangerous. And so she would say, "Oh, the men at work." And I was like, "Oh, the men are troglodytes," kind of thing. "Oh, the men just only want you for your body. Oh, the men this," like joking back. And I said, "Well, you do realize, like, I am a man too." She's like, "Oh, no, 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 no. You're an exception. You're okay. You're cute and I like you." I'm like, "Yeah, the way," I mean, this is internal. I'm like, "Yeah, but the way you treat me doesn't say that at all." Um, so when I get back, I get fired from the railroad, and I call the first person I thought to call was her, my girlfriend, and I said, "Hey, baby girl, I'm sorry, I'm fired. Um, I have to be home by the end of the day, and I don't know what to do." This and that. Her first comment slash question was not if, "What happened? How are you? What's going on?" No, it's, "Oh, darn, I guess we were not gonna get a place to rent now." That was her first question, and I was like, "What the fuck?" So I told her, I said, "Hey, I need to go tell my mom, my uncle, my this, my that, see if I can get a job at Staters again." Um, Mind you, I worked my ass off before heading off to Texas with for a little grocery store I was working at as a night shift janitor. Me and the manager were tight, so I said, "Hey, a body for a body is not a janitor for a janitor, but at least a body for a body." Um, so I called him. He did all the paperwork. Through some time, eventually I had to turn down the offer the day I was offered it. Because my uncle needed my help, which come to find out that was the most smartest thing I ever did. Um, but yeah, then I became an pool guy, and I really like the pool guy stuff. I don't really get bothered. Occasional call here and there when something weird happens, and I was the last guy there, but those don't happen that often. Uh, but my ex realized she could call me and not get in trouble, so she'd call me the moment she wakes up until the moment she goes to work, and she'd call me on her break. Then she'd just start having panic attacks during work and would call me during her panic attacks. I was getting called like 6 to 8 hours a day, and then I had to see her for another 4 hours in person. And that's essentially the first attempt. I was like, "Hey, I'm just gonna we're breaking up," kind of thing. And she's like, "Oh, I'll do better. I'll do better. I'll change." No, I even said that. "No, you're not gonna change." She's like, "Well, you changed. You became less this. You did this. I can do it too, but you're gonna have to give me time." I was like, "Fine, fine, fine. Yes, okay." Second attempt was July 4th. Eventually, I actually just sent it. I was gonna be a chicken shit and just do it over the phone and be like, "We're done." Um, but essentially, she's like, "Meet me in person. Just meet me in person. Halfway. Let's talk at Target," kind of thing. Talked at Target and tricked me into staying with her. Okay, she didn't trick me. She guilted me into it. Um, I guess that could be considered a trick, but saying, "Oh, you did this, you did that. You don't even consider my feelings." Blah blah blah. So I go buy some hot dogs and hot dog buns on 4th of July. Surprisingly, Walmart had it. I was really surprised actually. Um, and we're having a cookout, fire, this and that. Tensions are just awkward as all get out. And my mom at this point is really worried about me because my stress has just gotten to a bad point. I'm stressed from heat. I'm stressed from work. I'm stressed from Sabrina. I'm stressed with life. It's not in a good spot. I was not in a good spot. Um, so near the end, when the sun was setting, I sent my ex home saying, "Hey, you need to get going. Once the fireworks start, the drunks are going to start driving," kind of thing. Um, as I say that, one of the hills catching fire nearby, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh." And that's when she's all complaining, like, "No, I can't go. I can't leave you. I can't do this. I just can't." And she sees the fire and she's like, "Oh shit. Okay, for a different reason I can't go." And I just was yelling at her, "Go, just go. We'll be fine," kind of thing. Um, yeah, the fire went out, by the way. It was pretty quick. The fire team nearby was spot on. They were good. Um, but yeah, then even the mom of my ex was texting me saying, "Hey, if you need a place to stay for a while, if your house burns, we got you, blah, blah, blah." Never needed to take that offer. Um, and so then September 11th, I know, another one of those, wow, Josh, you couldn't have picked a better day to do it. Um, had her show up to a local mall. I planned it out. We had it so it was the 9th or the 10th. Me and her had a terrible argument. Like at this point, since the July 4th to the September area, the arguing has gotten to the point we were just going for the emotional jugular. Like we were just seeing who could bleed the hardest. Um, and at this point, I'm pretty much on death's door. Um, I'm so emotionally drained. The thing that made me confirm it, because after the argument, I called the mom again. I never really texted or interfered with the mom of my ex. This one I had to call her, and I was like, "You heard what happened last night. Who's in the wrong?" Kind of thing. I said, "I know you have Sabrina in your best interest. You also heard the whole argument." And she said, "You were 100% correct. And the way you handled it was more than stellar." She's like, "She was the immature one." And then I was like, I'm so tired of this. And that's where she like paused and I could hear her like having something to fidget with and said, "Josh, one thing we've been needing to tell you, um, but we just never get around to it was you look like," she's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Well, I'm alive, my heart's beating." She's like, "No, do you feel empty and tired?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "You look like you're dying. Every day you show up to make my baby girl feel better. You look like you're a step away from death." And I was like, "What?" That's when I realized I'm like, I can't continue this. So it was like 3 or 4 days later is when when that all played out. And she guilted me into staying with her as just friends. The next day I woke up and I get a lot of vivid dreams when I'm processing stuff and I actually remember them. And the dream was essentially her sitting in my truck. It's an old neighborhood, but it was essentially where this old neighborhood was. And it was like me driving on this wet concrete that my martial arts instructor and martial arts buddy Ford, but they said, "Oh, it's okay, but no excuses. You're a man," kind of thing. If you can't handle it, either leave or man up, kind of thing. And I get back in the truck after feeling bad about their work, and they fix it, kind of thing. And I look over at my ex, and she has these big glowing red eyes and super sharp pointy teeth. Her face is super stretched out, and she's growling like a freaking wolf. And I look at her and go, "What the fuck are you doing?" Kind of thing. And she's like, "Oh, you leave me." And then I woke up and I couldn't go back to sleep. And that's when I realized I'm like, that's going to be the relationship. That is the summary of my relationship with her if I continue as friends. She will make it a point to hurt me anytime I contact her, anytime I see her. She will hurt me. and she will always hurt me. So I sent her a voice message. She called me, wanted to tell me a few things via phone. And yeah, so fallout after September 12th was pretty rough. I mean, I was essentially emotionally whipsawed, manipulated, trauma bond, whatever you want to say. Went through the ringer. Um, the first month was hard. I did break my promise. I did see her in person once. That actually worked out pretty well. Um, then I would text her like once or twice a week, and then finally, it got awkward, and I completely blocked her after sending her a TikTok video about how like this it was a dude in a truck saying like, "Hey, I wish you could see the way I see you. I wish you could understand what I've been through, but you can't, and that's okay," kind of thing. Uh, so yeah, cut her off completely, went cold turkey. Um, deleted her on all my social media stuff, and not gonna lie, now in it's January 15th, 2024, 5 p.m. that I'm recording this. I don't really think about her that much anymore. Other than in, because I did a lot with her for a year. So other than comments like, "Oh yeah, me and Sabrina did this," or "Sabrina said that," like I don't pine for her anymore. And that's big. The one thing now the real fallout from this, and I'm still struggling with it, is the January 4th on till the breakup in September, and even afterwards. I already had a bit of a mild porn addiction that, but it was like, 'cause I had Sabrina, I was like, "Oh, I don't need it that much," kind of thing. And yeah, that after leaving her, because she was like really curvy, thick Latina, like gorgeous, plump in everything, in all the right places. So, little dude, the little soldier, kept standing at attention and would just be like, "Let's go, attention." Um, after leaving her, I got the super hornies. I was like, so I was watching a lot of porn just to alleviate the stress. And it worked for like, oh, I don't know, 2 weeks. And then suddenly I'm like, oh, and this is like this is after the breakup. But that's what we're saying, like January 4th, um, Ju- January, no, July 4th. Wow. Sorry if I confused you. July 4th, September 12th. Um, so from July 4th, I was struggling. I was using porn more often to cope with the stress. And then after September 12th, I really used it. I tapered off a little bit in like the late October, November area. Um, and but then it just kicked up, and uh, I also didn't help myself in any situation. I got a toy essentially, and so switched from one method to another, made it more pleasurable and more addicting. I was really well thought through. So after getting hit in the head on my birthday, and having to go to the ER and pretty much confused for like a week, I used again porn and masturbation as a like painkiller because like I was in a very stressful situation. I'm like, I know dopamine can help in the short term of pain, but it also messes up my ability to process other stuff. I think it was after watching a certain video, I was just like, why am I doing this? Kind of thing. It's like, why did I go down to this path? And like something snapped in my heart. It was like a rope, and suddenly I felt a rush, and I realized I'm like, no, I am full fledged addicted right now. Like I am literally and metaphorically balls deep into this. And so I tried giving it up, relapsed, relapsed again and relapsed again. But how I realized I had a problem is I couldn't get up unless I fired up my phone and looked up a certain hentai comic. And yeah, suddenly little dudes at attention, rock hard and everything. And I kind of like today is the reason why I'm recording it and posting it today. And I'm not even gonna try to clean up all those blunders. I realized I'm like, oh my god, I'm still addicted. So I downloaded all these porn filter apps and trackers and all that. So I'm trying to get my shit together. Um, After getting addicted to porn around 11, being an on again, off again relationship, I think this is going to be a one of the hardest fights in my life because that's a lot of habitual pattern. So just kind of wanted to say that. I know usually Mondays I talk about business or whatever, but just wanted to get that off my chest. Hopefully I help someone. I will try to figure out how to make this a video. Um, I'm kind of short on cash, so I can't afford good video editing software and stuff like that. So I'm using Audacity and OpenShot video editor. So I'm gonna try different methods of um, posting videos. I'm also working on different thumbnails and how to use them for well, better impressions and click through, but also just what works and what doesn't. Uh, I know I just talked about my porn addiction, but I'm like, I wonder if big booby anime girls get people to click, or is it more like a mysterious, like classy, fully covered, kind of guy or gal where it's like, ooh, what's this? Who's this mysterious man kind of thing? And yeah, so I'm gonna play with around with that. I made two dummy accounts, so um if one of them gets in trouble, it's not my intention to make money off it anyways. But I'm also gonna try different content on them. One might be more just like radical, like Ben Shapiro or Jordan Peterson saying, "Hey, you gotta do this. I don't care what the others fucking say. You gotta do this." Um, and then one might just be like the stereotypical SEO. If you want to get over this, you should do this, and here's why. Pay attention to the end. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna work on those and figure out this video. Um, yeah, this is a bit of a hot mess, hot take. Hopefully, yeah, hopefully it's helpful. And if you have any other topics you want to hear or talk about, I have a lot of like cool stories in my head, cool and shit I've gone through. I mean, my ability to not see red flags is amazing, and I've gotten myself into some fucking crazy stories. So if you want to hear some of those, give me a holler. Um, yeah. Other than that, have a good one, everybody, and see you next time. Well, congratulations, you made it to the end. You're a awesome person. Not many make it here. So, being the awesome person that you are, can you do me one more awesome favor? Can you rate and review this on whatever podcast services you're using? If you do it on Apple and you leave an actual written review, I have a thing on my website. I will take your written review and post it for all to see. Congratulations, you're permanently sealed on my site. Otherwise, I am trying to do YouTube more and live streaming. I will try to put as many of the YouTube links in the description of the show as I can. So give your boy some extra help over on YouTube. Watch my videos. I just mute it and change the channel, change the window or something. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for being awesome and see you next time.